Aewol Craft Shop and House by O Architects in JEJU-SI, South Korea. Aewol Craft Shop and House is in Aewol, Jeju. It has a landscape surrounded by low roofs of single-story buildings that can be seen between Jeju's stone walls and wide fields. The horizontally spread village has a quiet and relaxed atmosphere, which also brings peace among villagers who have long-standing relationships. Aewol Craft Shop and House has expanded the concept of a house by adding living spaces for an owner's family. There are the owner's parents' house consists of Jeju's representative residential types, which are Anchae 1 and Bagachi 2, and 2 tangerine storages. As the original environment of a house that forms one person's life develops into a new family composition over time, the house works continuously as a framework to contain the expanded form of family. Unlike large cities, small towns in Aewol value connections between villagers. Since the culture is formed by the community that constitutes a village, connections between the house and the villages, connections as a member of the village, and connections between the individual and the family are considered important. To contain the new residential function, 2 tangerine warehouses were used to make Anchae and Bagachi of the existing parents' house. Among the 2 warehouses side by side, the storage in the back was demolished and a 2-story detached house for the owner's family was built on that spot, and the other one in front was remodeled into a craft shop and changed to a workplace. The main spaces required a space where the owner's couple and their children can live, a lounge space where large families can hang out together, and a furniture workplace for the owner who is a carpenter. The owner of the building runs a furniture craft shop in Jeju. He believes that it is important to think about architectural details according to the sensuous texture of Stay in Grove, the name of the owner's craft shop, which considers details and designs carefully and produces his own furniture. He discussed the harmony and simplicity of the space composition, such as the proportion of windows and elevation, the alignment of the interior finish lines, and the thin thickness of the bending metal. As the owner who handles the furniture values the texture and details that he can touch with his fingertips, he was able to work happily by sympathizing and sharing opinions a lot with others about the elements that help them to feel the space, when considering the architectural details. Looking at the process of entering Aewol Craft Shop and House, the stone wall, which borders the landscape of the village and new buildings when facing the house along the All Trail, has taken a step back from its existing location and become an available space for new scenery to be permeated. When you enter the entrance, the cozy garden facing you and the door of the workplace and house behind it welcome your visit. The furniture craft shop, one step ahead of the house, is an open space accessible to anyone, and the first floor of the house connected to the workplace is open to the tangerine field, as a semi-open space where people who have a close relationship with the owner of this building stay together. The craft shop and residential building are connected in the same way. The fact that the 2 existing warehouses were closely attached became a condition that the 2 buildings were naturally connected. Light, moss, and shade plants between the 2 buildings can be seen from a transparent passage. The workshop required a front window to create a ceiling and serve as a furniture craft shop while preserving existing wood trusses and replacing roof materials. Accordingly, a new elevation was created through the process of reinforcing the structure with steel frames. Looking around the craft shop and entering the house naturally, the house is also filled with the owner's furniture, so you can feel like it is a showroom as if it were expanded. Its expansion has the effect of changing the sense of space when the door is open through the same height between the door and the ceiling of the residential building and the details. When you enter the house, the view of your parents' house through the window located in the front lounge is the main space, and it forms an experiential structure that makes the familiar house feel unfamiliar by looking at his own house where he was born and raised at a little distance. It is a way to preserve the memories that are piled up in the space of the house. The corridor between the open lounge and the room forms a transition of space while walking in the corridor facing the skylight, and the scenery beyond the window that can be briefly stopped and looked up. When you go up the stairs and enter the second floor, it consists of a protected space only for the owner's family, and you can overlook the scenery of the village including Hala Mountain through the child's room and living room, and the open outer space toward the sky. In addition, in Aewol Craft Shop and House, the space only for the owner is a bathroom. Through a ceiling filled with a skylight, it becomes a full rest space where you can lie in the bathtub and look at the stars in the evening. The Aewol Craft Shop and House attempted to form a step-by-step change through an appropriate balance between opening and closing toward the outside in the flow that connects the village's trail to the private space of the owner's family. Focusing on the process of boundary or connection between the house and the village, he tried to reflect on the true meaning of the house.